Hello, everyone. Welcome to Leadership Talks, where we talk about all things leadership and personal development for women that are leaders and women who aspire to be leaders. Today is so special because this is the first episode of Leadership Talks, and I'm so excited about this journey and where it's going to take us, how we're going to grow together and become better women leaders in our everyday lives. Today's topic is about burnout and core values. And again, today is so special because it's the first episode, but not only that, I have an amazing special guest here, and her name is Amanda Handsbur. Amanda, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you today?
I am so well. I am so well. I'm so excited about this new baby that I have. And I'm so excited to have you here with me talking about leadership and topics that pertain to leadership for women. And it's just amazing to have you here. Can you just tell everybody about you and what you do?
Yes, well, thank you first and foremost. Thank you for having me on this very first episode. I feel super special. I'm like, yay. But my name is Amanda Handsbur. I am a current doctoral student. I am researching burnout in women, specifically burnout in Black women in education. So that's like my little niche. But aside from that, I am a certified personal trainer, health coach, health enthusiast, communications consultant. So I work day to day with people with their holistic health, whether it's spiritual, mental, physical health, emphasis on the physical health, love to make people sweat. But I really look at the overall health and the well being of others. And that's just what I do. And so thank you so much for having me. And thank you so much for allowing me to talk about burnout because it's very near and dear to my heart. And as I continue to research, I'm finding that a lot of women, especially Black women, are struggling with burnout nowadays. And so thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I am just so excited to have you here, to have you on, especially as an expert in the area or in the topic of burnout. As women leaders, I know this is something that we all are familiar with, and it's so easy to get to a place of burnout. That leads me to my first question is, what strategies can leaders employ to prevent burnout?
Yes, so that question is so interesting when I think about it because there are so many ways you can prevent burnout. And so the very first thing, coming from a personal trainer, certified at that, certified health coach and personal trainer, the very first thing I'm gonna always mention is exercise. That right there is going to get you through the door. You can get through your day. Even if it's like for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, even if it's for 10 minutes, I'm telling you, exercise will help kind of alleviate. And I want to backtrack for a second. I know we're talking about burnout, but I do want to actually define what burnout is. So, a
Mhm.
lot of people I realize don't know the difference between stress and burnout. Okay, so you have this little line in the middle. And when you think about stress, you have stress on one side, you have burnout on the other side. Okay. Burnout is the excessive amount of negative stress. Okay. So when you go to the gym, that's stress. That's good stress, right? Or say if you're studying for an exam, you might be stressed out at that time, but that doesn't mean you're burnt out. You just have stress at that one time, at that one 30-minute block or 1 day block. You don't reach burnout, you don't reach that line of burnout until you experience excessive, extremes amount of stress over and over and over again that is detrimental to your overall health. So that's what I want to do. I just want to kind of define what burnout actually is. And burnout, when I say extreme stress, I mean emotional exhaustion. Like you're just totally tired, body is tired, mind is tired, everything's just super, super exhausted. Okay. Now, I know when we are thinking about burnout and we're thinking about the emotional exhaustion or extreme exhaustion, exercise is first and foremost, but also self-care and defining what self-care looks like for you in that season. So, for example, when I was in college, self-care could have been just, hanging out with friends between classes. I don't have that structure anymore. So what does self-care look like now that I'm not gonna say how many years post-grad, but so many years post grad, I'm working on a doctorate. So what does that self-care look like? It could be a bubble bath for some. It could be listening to music while you're cleaning. I find that super soothing. It can be, catching up with friends at a certain block. It could be going to the nail shop. Whatever that self-care is for you, find out what works for you. You know what I'm saying? And then really truly figuring out what you value, because that's also going to help alleviate as you're moving up in an organization. Do your values align with the organization that you are serving? Are they going to feed into you, and will you feed into them? And which I know we are here for leadership and organization and burnout, but I really want to speak to our leaders on this because we oftentimes forget that our values can change over time. And the thing that I value today may not be the thing I value 10 years from now. And then you're starting to feel like, okay, I'm doing the same mundane task every day. I don't really value this work anymore. Hence, the excessive stress comes on from trying to perform at a capacity you don't have anymore and you don't value it. Hence, that's when the burnout comes. So, really just taking note of how you really feel, how just take care of yourself, but going back to that basic line of what do I care about in this current moment? And is what I care about in this current moment reflective of the organization I'm a part of? Because that's what's going to help you alleviate a lot of that burnout, because that's kind of how I experienced it. And I don't know if you've ever got to that point of had to kind of, look at, do I value this right now? So that's how you can really prevent a lot of the burnout. Just exercise, self-care, figuring out what you value. Does it align?
That is so good.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And I can say on that first tip, as far as exercise, last year was a transformative year for me, as it relates to physical health and exercise. I noticed as I exercised and took care of my physical body, I had more energy. I was able to deal with, things day to day. And I did notice that in relation to stress and things of that nature, like it went down, and so I think that is so important. That is so important. And also in relation to, understanding, where you are in a particular season and what you value, because many people, they don't realize that values do change over time.
Mhm.
What you value in one season may not be necessarily feasible for another season, like you talked about how you were in college and you used to hang with the friends, and then now it's like, well, I'm not really doing that now. So how can I, take some time for me and, implement that self-care? I can so relate to that, in this season of my life where I am also, in school and, doing different things and navigating work life and all of that nature, but finding the time to really take care of self, to take care of self and find out what that looks like actually taking the time out to see, okay, what does this look like for me? I know what it may have looked like in the past, but obviously that's not working anymore, or obviously I don't have time for that anymore. So now I'm going to have to figure out another way to navigate and implement this in my life because it is necessary. So in order for us to do what we have been called to do, this piece is integral, it is necessary, and we got to figure it out. We got to find a way.
Exactly. You
So,
have to figure it
yeah.
out. And there's other strategies to prevent burnout, but those are just my three right now that
Yeah.
I see very prevalent as I'm researching and obtaining stories from, the people I have to observe for my doctoral program. Those are like the three that I'm like, okay, no, we really have to lean into this. And then along with the values is also boundaries. We
Mm,
have to get to a point where we do establish boundaries, because if you have no boundaries and you're letting people just tell you when and when you can't do this, and even it goes along with family too, just if
mm,
you have no boundaries or learn to say no to things, you don't have to say yes to everything. You
yeah.
don't have to. That also will help you prevent that burnout as well.
That's good. That is really good. We could do a whole talk on boundaries because when you don't have boundaries set in place, you
Mhm.
will go everywhere. You will do this, you will do that, you will do this, you will do that, and you will find yourself in burnout. You will. Like
Exactly.
there is no you there I don't think there's any study out there that says, okay, if you have no boundaries, you will never experience burnout. I have not seen it. If you've
I
seen it,
haven't
show me.
either.
Because yeah, no. I boundaries are so important. They are so important and we have to implement those boundaries in every relationship, not just one relationship here and then here we can do whatever. No, in every relationship. And I like how you said, even as it pertains to family. So, as leaders, as women leaders, women, we carry the weight of the world. We're doing everything. We're doing it for the job, we're doing it for the family, we're doing it for
Mhm.
a women's group, we're doing it for everyone. But at
Everyone.
some point, there has to be a no. At
Exactly.
some point, there has to be like, you know what? I would love to. I can, but I'm not. I can do this, but I'm not going to do it because I have to take time to develop myself. I got to put in some self-care. I got to make sure that I'm on the right track so I'm able to be the best version of me, the best version
Mhm.
of myself that I can be in the environments that I've been placed into. So that is so awesome. So my next question is I know you've already talked about values, but I do want to ask how can a leader ensure that their values align with the organizations, and how does this alignment contribute to or protect against burnout?
Yes. So good question, because I always say first, do a values assessment on you first.
Mm-hmm.
What some people will go and do, and it's not all the time, but and sometimes we have a habit of doing it. We'll go to the organization values and look to see, oh, let me see if my values align with the organization. But in doing so, you're basically going in and saying, okay, checking this box, I have this, I have this. Okay, cool. You have that, once upon a time you have that, but is that your current value right now? Is that, where we are right now? So I always say, do the assessment on yourself first. Literally ask yourself, what do I value in this current moment? And for some, it's easy. And for some, it's not as easy because you either are valuing what you were brought up on still, so you haven't had that moment of, okay, aside from my family and who I grew up with, what do I value right now? So
Mm,
that's first and foremost. You have to kind of establish who you are as the person and not what others have told you value. Like, because you'll be surprised, like how many people I've run into just researching. Yeah, I value this because that's what my mother told me. I'm like, oh, that's good. That's a good start. But is that where you are right now in this current space? And as I mentioned earlier, just because you value something 10 years ago doesn't mean you currently value it. And what you value right now may not what value 10 years from now or 15 or however. Honestly, it can change as soon as tomorrow if something, happens in your life. It's just, it is what it is.
yeah.
But there are a set of values that you probably will keep throughout your life, but then there are some that you will have to tailor just depending on your goals and your aspirations. And that's another thing. What are your goals and what are you trying to obtain? And that's why I think for some people it's hard for them to answer what do they value, because they don't really know, okay, I know my, sibling wants to be an astronaut. I don't want to be an astronaut. I want to be, I don't know yet. And so if you're still trying to figure out what you want to do and what is that goal, what is that dream that you have, then answering that values question may be a little harder, but I always say answer that first. Once you answer that question, when you go to an organization and you really say if you're job searching or you're volunteering, it could be volunteering, and you actually go through their values, then start seeing if they align. And then start networking. See if you can find somebody who works for that organization and kind of ask certain questions to see if they really truly live by the values that's on the website. Because anyone can have a set of words on the website and
Yeah.
say that you as the leader, as the attributing leader, hey, whatever, wherever you are right now, you as that leader, go and do some research. Go and start asking people, because I'm telling you, LinkedIn is going to be your best friend right now. Go and network. and have people talk about the organization you're looking at. If you listen to what they're saying, they'll let you know for sure if the organization is about those values that you're looking at.
Mhm.
And when you do that assessment, and if you see that it is a fit at that time, then that will also help alleviate that burnout because you're working for an organization who cares about what you care about. So it makes the work easier. I don't want to say it's not like you're working because you're working, but you're contributing to your dream, you're contributing to your aspirations, you're contributing to your goals as well as theirs. Once you get to that point where you're no longer valuing what they're valuing, and you're like, okay, my dream is taking a different toll, or I have a different set of goals, work will literally feel like work. And that's when the burnout will set in because it's stress for no reason at that point. And it's hard, and everyone's circumstances are different, but it's one of those things you really have to say, okay, do I want to stay comfortable,
Mm.
or do I want to move on and be in an area that I know I will not only be happy in, but I can thrive and I can be successful in, and I can contribute to them. So that's
Mm.
just one of those things. It's one of those loaded questions. I'm like, who get a little spicy, but do your research though. Do your research.
Yes. Wow. That is so, oh my gosh, so many gems you just dropped. And I want to go back to the whole piece about you understanding yourself or finding out the values that you carry first, because that whole piece, and I think about worldview, because I think about when you talk about worldview, everybody has their own particular worldview, and what feeds into that is, how you were raised, or how, the different things that you went through as a child all the way up to now. And so we can go through life and do things and not even understand why we're doing things, or why we believe a certain way. But I think everyone should get to a place of taking the time out to sit with themselves and ask, why do I believe what I believe? Why do I do the things that I do? Do I really is this something that I truly value?
Exactly.
Or is this something that, I grew up and, just like you said, mama did it, or mama told me it was right, so that's why I did it. And sometimes we find out in those circumstances, in those situations, that even though this is something that I'm making a decision, or I'm making a choice to believe in, or act in, or, or do, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's something that I value. And so
Mhm.
it's important to take that time out and sit with ourselves and say, you know what is it for DeRoslyn? What is it for me? What do I value? What do I see as, like, okay, yeah, this is what I value. This right here, not so much. And then, like you said, over time that does change. Seasons do change. In one season this was something that I valued, another season it's like, no, that's not really what I value now. This is where I am. And so, as it relates to, being in an organization, we have to understand when it's time to move, because sometimes we can become complacent, we can become stagnant, we can be, just be in a place where we're like, now we're just going through the motions, and, not really, taking that time out to say, okay, something is off, something is going on. I need to figure out what is happening. Has my values changed? Has there been a shift in what I believe? And so once we figure that out, and once we see that, now we know, okay, well, maybe there needs to be a shift in my location. And so I think one of the great ways, to do that, or to go forward, is, like you said, LinkedIn. I was not into the LinkedIn game. I don't know where I've been. Apparently, I don't know. I really don't know where I've been. And everybody I talk to is like, "You're not on LinkedIn. What's going on?" So, but yeah, but I'm on LinkedIn now. We're LinkedIn, and we're getting it all together. But,
Good.
networking, I think networking is a huge piece. It's a huge piece, and you're able to, see people of other cultures, of, different backgrounds, organizational backgrounds, and begin to find that perfect fit for you. And I would just say this, that if you are a women leader, and, you find yourself in a place of burnout, and you're trying to reevaluate, your core values, I invite you to invite God in the process. Ask Him to lead you,
Amen.
ask Him to guide you, ask Him to show you the things that He needs to show you for you to maneuver and do what He's called you to do in this season as a leader. Because as you are in alignment with His will for your life, you will lead others into the places that they are supposed to be in. So,
Right.
this is why taking the time out to truly pour into you, this whole piece about personal development, that's what this is all about. It's about personal development so you are able to be the leader, the best leader that you have been called to be in the environment that God has placed you in. And when it's time for that season of transition, even as it relates to an organization or even if you're in your own, you have your own business doing your own thing, whatever, God will lead you and He'll guide you and He'll give you what you need in order to get you to the place that He has for you so you're able to walk in power and authority and be that leader, be that woman leader that you were designed to be. So, I mean, that is so good. Oh my gosh. I don't
Yes.
know about you, but this talk is helping me. Okay. So I know our time is running out, but I'm just going to ask one more question. And
Mhm.
that question is how can leaders leverage their core values as coping mechanisms during high stress periods to prevent burnout?
Yes, so we mentioned it, but remember your why.
Mm,
And I think when you remember your why, you remember why you're doing said thing,
mm,
right? So say if you are, let's paint the picture. Let's say if you are in an organization where your values did align, because that may be a question. Why in an organization where my values align?
mm,
Let's just say you are in an organization where your values align, everything we said sounds good, they check all the boxes, but they're still getting to that burnout part and they're still trying to figure out what's going on.
mm,
Remember your why. If this is something that you dreamt about, this is part of your goals, this is part of your aspirations, then remember why you're doing it. Are you doing it? Now it's time to ask the reverse question. Are you doing it for yourself, just for yourself? Or are you doing it to help others and support others? Because no matter what job we do, we're all supporting one another. And I know that kind of sounds like, even the person behind the computer screen, IT, yes, even your IT people, because they have to fix our computer. We're all servicing one another, whether we want to admit it or not. We're all here to service one another, whether you are delivering mail, delivering packages, or whether you're a CEO of a company, or
mm,
whether you're a teacher or a doctor, or whatever that means, personal trainer, professional development coach, we're all servicing one another. So then you have to kind of ask yourself, okay, I've poured into myself. Why am I really doing this? Am I doing it for selfish reasons, or am I doing it to better the environment, better the community, better the person that's coming after me? So I think that's really, really is gonna get that's gonna hit some people in there because it's like, ooh, why am I doing this? It's gonna get into that core. It's gonna like,
yes.
I gotta answer a little something like, ooh, why am I doing this? But I really say remember your why. And if your why, and this is not gonna be favorable, but if your why starts to sound a little selfish, self-centered, then it's time to say, okay,
Mm-hmm.
what is my purpose of doing this? Like, why am I doing this? And just bringing God in, like,
Mm,
okay, God, what is my purpose? Like,
mm,
like, am I doing this? Show me if I'm doing this for the wrong reasons. Because then you have to ask yourself, are you doing this for the wrong reasons?
mm,
Because then it goes back to that, because that's why I was like, oh, this is layers on layers. I know we have a short amount of time, but that's a different conversation too. Like, why are you doing this?
mm-hmm.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Absolutely. Remember your why. Remember my why. I'm gonna tell you after this call, I'm gonna go back and look at my why. Do you hear me?
To
Because
do that. I literally had to do that. I think there was a sermon at my church about 2 months ago. Started the New Year off,
Mhm.
and the sermon literally was, "What is your why?" And I literally had to go through different aspects of my why and answer
Mm,
Why am I doing this? Because there were some things that was good. It wasn't selfish at all. It was just like, oh,
mhm,
I love to help this person. This person's getting this or this organization. But then, and this is me being honest, y'all, just
mhm,
being honest. There were some areas of my life where I was like, okay, no, I am just doing this out of selfish reasons. I'm doing this so I can be center stage. So it'll actually have you go back and
yeah,
reevaluate yourself. So I say do that. Ask why you're doing certain things.
absolutely.
And then on the flip side to that question, it's just like, and I know about the high stress burnout, how can it prevent? Now,
Yeah,
on the flip side to that, remember your why. If you are in a place
yeah.
that you're like, okay, you know what, I think I'm doing this right. I think my values align. I'm exercising, I'm doing everything to prevent the burnout.
Mhm.
Like I said, going back to that why will kind of get you in a mindset of, okay, no, I'm doing this for the betterment of whatever, whatever. I'm doing it. So it'll change your perspective because sometimes we'll complain about things
Yes.
that was a blessing
Ab-
that we prayed about in a different season.
mhm, mhm.
So if there was something you prayed about in a different season and now it's showing up and now you're complaining about it, and it's like,
Yes.
hey, this was an answered prayer X amount of time ago. Let's
Mhm.
shift our perspective and then remember why we're doing this. We're doing this, for, to help whomever. We're doing this because, I prayed for this and this is something that was part of my dream or part of my goal. So that's why I was like, look at your why from different angles. Look at it from an answered blessing and prayer, and also look at it from okay, am I doing this out of selfish reasons? So, and it'll kind of help you shape, okay, that could be why I'm burning out because I am complaining and I'm not going back to my why.
That's so
I'm complaining
good.
about the little things, but it's like, okay, yeah, but this was something you asked for years ago and you dreamt about, and now you're here. Or it was something that, you dreamt about 5 years ago and it's starting to finally manifest. You have
Yeah,
to shift that perspective into okay, I see the results. I'm starting to see it.
yeah.
I know why now. I know why I have to make that decision. So that'll also help with that burnout. Switching that.
Woo, that'll preach.
Good.
That will
Yes.
preach right there because and the thing is as women leaders, you have to understand that God has there's an expected end for you, and God has a plan. There's a full plan that God has for you. And when things are starting to manifest in the season, in the right season, you better know the enemy is not happy. Okay. The enemy is not happy and he does not want you to fulfill the assignment that God has placed over your life. And so you may find yourself in a season where you are doing everything right. You are hitting, what they say, crossing your T's, hitting your I's. I don't know how they say it, whatever, however they say it, right? You're doing everything right. You're getting everything right. You're doing what you're supposed to do. You showing up to the organization. You're setting those boundaries, right? You know what your core values are. Y'all are in alignment, but it's like things are just coming up against you. You have to understand that sometimes you are in a season where the enemy is like, he's doing his best to try to get you to stop, to try to get you to just give up, to quit. But even in those moments, right? Even in those moments, it is important that you continue to go before God. Remember, here we go again. Go before God, place it before God, ask God to show you your why, show the hidden motives of my heart. If I'm doing everything right, to stand, to continue on because breakthrough is coming. And a lot of times, when we find ourselves in these situations, we just like, you know what? I'm just done. I don't want to do it no more. It is what it is. But I encourage you, if you are a woman who is in leadership and you are tired and you know for a fact that you're doing everything that you're supposed to be doing in this season of your life, I encourage you to remember your why, even as Amanda has so graciously stated. Remember your why. Remember your why. Go back to it. Remember, this is the thing that you prayed for. And if God allowed it to show up in your life and it's manifesting in this season, he will give you the grace. He'll give you what you need in order to continue on and to see the fruit that he has for you in this time. So, Amanda, are there any closing words that you would like to give to the Leadership Talks family?
I just want to say thank y'all for having me today and don't get discouraged, okay? And if you are experiencing burnout, don't be afraid to reach out to someone. Don't be afraid to reach out to family, friends, therapists, whoever it is, because just know you're not alone. But don't let the enemy make you feel like you're alone because you're not by yourself. There has been many people who have experienced burnout and it's so common nowadays. I mean, it's always been something that's been looming, but I think now we're bringing it to the forefront. We're calling it out. We
Mhm.
can actually establish and say, hey, this is what this is, and this is why this is happening. Don't be afraid to say anything or say something, like I said, take care of yourself too, because let me tell you, no one gonna take care of you like you, okay? I'm just saying.
Come
Oh,
on.
too, because God gonna take care of you too. I'm gonna throw that too. God gonna
That's
always
right.
take you better than you actually.
That's right. That's right. Awesome. Well, we just want to thank you so much for being the very first special guest on Leadership Talks. You guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I have. Amanda, can you let everybody know how to connect with you?
Yes, so it'll be, if you want my direct website, it'll be amanda-handsbur.com. And all my other social media handles, which is YouTube and Instagram, is just Amanda Handsbur. Literally, first name, last name. And
Awesome.
LinkedIn. I forgot LinkedIn. Oh, yeah, that's the thing too. I talked about LinkedIn too, y'all. LinkedIn too, Amanda Handsbur.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time out to join us for this episode and stay tuned for more episodes. Love you, but God loves you more. Talk to you soon. Bye.